Good evening and welcome to Midweek Blues with Wez and a familiar face, Yann. How are you, mate?
I'm all right. Good to be here. I do feel a little bit sorry for everyone who's tuned in expecting Robbie, because I'm nowhere near as witty, full of interesting anecdotes, mature, wise, all these kind of things. So for everything that the show is lacking, by hilarity and banter and general shite talk.
Don't do yourself an injustice, mate.
Oh God, is my camera acting up already?
Yeah, you're going a bit stuttery.
Right, I will be back in a second.
Go on, mate. So, while Yann sorts out his technical issues, good evening, fellow Blues. Hope you're all enjoying this summer off. We're just having a little quick update, some transfer news and any news on the takeover, which looks doomed. But obviously a new contender has raised their hand and is maybe in the pipeline, which is good news. Mashiri always said he's had people in the pipeline, and they've 777 have only got till Friday before they officially pull out. We've got some transfer news as well. How's everybody doing with the no stress weekends? Evening, Emma. Evening, Eugene. Evening, David B. How are we all doing? So yeah, I'm just waiting for Yann to come back in. He's having some technical issues. Robbie's away doing a little bit down in London, so that's why Robbie's not here. And yeah, we're just going to pass a bit of time talking absolute wham about a non-stressful Everton. Emma says she's missing the Everton anxiety. You must be one of the few, Emma, because I'm enjoying the quiet life, to be honest. But Eugene, yeah, you're right as well. Said it weeks and weeks ago when I spoke to somebody who works at the club, that all this administration talk has all been media driven. It's not being Everton driven, and like the comments coming from the club, the club are quite unhappy about the fact that the media's been driving this administration thing, and it's never been on the cards. And like I said, the girl who I spoke to told me weeks and weeks ago that they all got dragged in, all the staff got dragged in and got told that there was no danger of Everton going into administration. So that's good news. Emma saying it's boring without the footy roll on the Euros. Not so sure about that, Emma. I'm not a big lover of international football, I'll be honest. I can't get excited about England, to be honest, Emma. I really can't. But it's good to see Branthwaite and Pickford joining up with the England team today. And I'll watch to see, if Branthwaite gets picked for the full team to go to the Euros. I'll watch to see, if he gets on and how he does. So Peter Douglas saying no stress weekends turned into a stressful week for me because he's playing footy every Wednesday and he's knackered because he haven't had proper run of games in 5-7 years and I'm unfit. Yeah, but Peter said you'll soon work your way into it, mate. Get yourself back up to full fitness. It's all it's all a process, isn't it, mate? So Eugene, I'm not sure about the watch-alongs, mate. That's Aussie Chris's department. So yeah, so not sure about that, mate. And obviously he's over in the States. Yeah, we're gonna come on to that, Eugene, about Branthwaite being linked with Manchester United. But for the price that they're willing to pay for him, I really hope that Everton don't buckle under the pressure and sell him to Man United on the cheap, because I think it's absolute barefaced cheek of them to come out and say that they won't be able to ransom for possibly the best English centre half playing football at this present moment in time, and yet they paid 80 million for Buzz Lightyear. You know what I mean? And you're like, come on, behave yourself. You want to value him at 60 million. You paid 80 million for Buzz Lightyear. Come on, behave yourself. I haven't heard nothing about 9 points, Brian. Not heard anything about that. There has been rumours going around that we have to sell off the cream of the crop by, I think it's the end of June, to comply with FFP, which we've all said in the past. FFP doesn't make any sense when you have to sell off your best players to, your rivals in the league to comply with the rules. The better teams are constantly getting better because they're getting fed the best players on the cheap, whereas obviously the teams that are selling them players are weaker than their teams. So it just doesn't make sense, does it? But yeah, I've heard nothing about a 9-point deduction. I did hear today that Leicester could be getting a record points deduction. So because they haven't complied, have they? So Jan's still having a few difficulties. The FFP cuts off mid-transfer window is a joke. You're right, Emma. It is. It should be cut off when the transfer window ends or the season begins. Do you know what I mean? It shouldn't be like mid-transfer window. It's ridiculous. Yeah, I mean we've said it for donkey's years, haven't we, Brian? That they don't want us in the Premier League. We don't bring them anything in, but we're the longest serving club, and spent the most seasons in the top flight. But yeah, I don't know what they expect, but yeah. Peter Duggan, anything less than 75 mil for Branthwaite, and Kevin Fellow should lose his job because that's not good enough. Yeah, I mean, Everton apparently value Branthwaite at 80 million. So we'll wait and see. Personally, I think we all agree that we'd rather them sell off the crown jewels than sell off Branthwaite on the cheap. Do you know what I mean? Because he's going to be world class, the lad. You know what I mean? So, yeah, we don't want anything less than 80 mil. Hello, mate. You okay?
Oh yeah.
Technical issues. So we're just going through some stuff there about Branthwaite and Man United trying to get him on the cheap and stuff like that. I think it was Brian who said he's heard about a possible 9-point deduction if we don't meet FFP, but I haven't heard nothing about that. Yann, have you? Are you having issues again? Yann's gone again. Right, so yeah, Eugene, you're right. He needs to resign, but he's not going to go easy, is he? And to be perfectly honest, I think he'll fall on his own sword. To be honest, mate. Do you know what, Eugene? Like I've seen a kit that's come out. I'm not convinced that it's the kit that's coming out, because people like to put out sort of mock-up kits. Everton haven't released anything yet, as far as I'm aware. So yeah, I'm not that enamoured by it, to be perfectly honest. I think they could have gone a bit retro with it being last season at Goodison Park and stuff like that. If that is the kit, but let's hope it's not, because I don't think it's that great. Evening, Sean. How you doing, mate? You okay? Roy says Branthwaite's under contract. If you don't pay the price, he goes nowhere. Well, it's true. It's true, but these clubs know what the situation is with Everton, and they think that we're desperate to sell to meet FFP, and they're just circling like vultures, aren't they? Like Tottenham did last season with or the season before with Richarlison. They see us, that we need the money and stuff like that, and yeah, it looks like Jan's disposed of his camera. Have you, mate?
I have no idea what's going on here, mate.
Oh, Jesus. Right, so Jan, I've got some possible transfer talk if anybody's interested. Well, it's gone again, Jan.
All right.
Right, you're going to go without the camera?
Yeah, I'll have a chat, because you know what? So what if he's still on contract? Yeah, but I mean, we're going to get bent over no matter what, the way that agents do this and the way that they orchestrate it. I mean, look at, you throw a sulk and they sort of they strop on the sidelines, and well, I don't see that for Branthwaite, but you can never predict it, can you?
No, and Mark Foster just brought up one of my transfer sort of rumour mill. Yeah, this centre half who's at Burnley, this Maxime Esteve, he hasn't played a game, as far as I'm aware. He hasn't played a game for Burnley. So that'll be interesting, because obviously then you're going into a possible replacement for Branthwaite, if that's what they're looking at. Barry, the takeover, it is going to affect the buying and selling the players, because you don't know who's going to come in and whether they're going to provide equity into the club. So if somebody comes in, I mean, there's talk of MSP buying it short term and then selling it once this Texter is it Texter or whatever his name is. Once he sells his shares in Crystal Palace, buying the club then. So yeah, it is obviously going to sell. It's going to affect transfers in and out, isn't it, Jan?
It's going to.
Excellent.
Can you hear me?
Hello. Yeah, I can hear you now.
God, I'm sorry. I have no idea where this is coming from and what's going on here. It's just a bloody nightmare. Sorry.
But the Blues, I'm only getting my information from Wikipedia, which says he hasn't played any games for Burnley. So I'm not sure. But yeah, let's go through some transfer rumours. So Everton apparently interested in a guy called Jan Nicholas Best. He's 25. He's at a team called FC Heidenheim. And he's available for 10 million euros, apparently. But could possibly get him between 5 and 7 million euros. He was on the verge, apparently, of a full international call-up, but then got injured and unfortunately missed out on his debut. But he scored 8 goals last season in the Bundesliga and got 14 assists. He's a winger, and God knows we're crying out for wingers. So yeah, I don't think the clubs have had any contact yet, but I know Everton have been looking at him. Jan Nicholas Best, Beste. He's only 25, so probably at the peak of his prowess. You know what I mean? So yeah, sounds like a good acquisition if we could get him on the cheap. Like, I'm not sure what Yann's up to. I think he's having major issues with his technical gear. Also, on the flip side of that, there could be a bidding war for Onana. So PSG, Bayern, and Barca now have apparently all put their hat in the ring for Onana. So that could end up with a bidding war, which would be good news for us. And Peter said, yeah, that Arthur, he's just been on loan, I think, in Spain, was he? And apparently he's done all right, but obviously never played at all for the team over the park. So yeah, that be interesting to see what price Juventus want for him. If I think he's a CDM, isn't he, Peter? So if we get rid of Onana, then obviously we can replace him with Arthur if he's available, and Everton think he's worth a punt. But apparently he's done all right over in Spain. I'm sure it's Spain he was at. All right, so the Blues, yeah, he started 15 matches for Burnley. All right, fair enough, mate. That's not what I read on Wikipedia, but I'll take your word for it. The Blues. So the rumours are as well that obviously DCL could possibly on his way to Newcastle, and that deal is meant to be announced on the 1st of June. Yeah, Calvin Phillips is another one. Barry, well said, mate. I don't know what you Blues think of that. Personally, it depends what loan fee they want for him, or if they're looking at signing him on a permanent deal. He didn't pull up any trees at West Ham. Obviously, made a lot of mistakes. But was that because he come in the January transfer window? I don't know. He hasn't played any games. Maybe if he came in and got a pre-season under his belt with us, he might be able to sort of reach the heights he did when he was at Leeds and when he first broke into the England team. It's all speculation, isn't it? So Peter thinks that Arthur is a central midfielder, and he can hold the ball up like Gomez. I don't know, mate. I just thought he was a CDM, Peter, to be honest with you. Yeah, Vincent Kompany is the new manager of Bayern Munich. Who saw that coming? Let's be honest. I mean, you get a team relegated from the Premiership and get one of the best jobs in the world. Beyond belief, that is. Ross Barkley apparently he's on his way to Aston Villa, mate. He's obviously doesn't want to come back to the Blues and get a load of shit off the fans. And personally speaking, who can blame him? But he wants to go and play European football with Villa. So fair play to the lad. Do you know what I mean? Got bigger fish to fry than come back to Everton, hasn't he? The Blues saying no to Phillips. Sick of you being used as a rehab facility. He hasn't had a good season for 3 to 4 years. True, but he hasn't played for that long, has he, mate? So if he comes in, I'm sure we'd all get behind him, wouldn't we? So we'd have to wait and see on that one. Yeah, so other names that are in the hat is the usual Willie Nonto, because Leeds never got promoted to the Premier League. Apparently he's up for sale. You all right, mate?
Well, we'll give it a go again.
Yeah, you're having a few issues there tonight, mate, aren't you?
Aren't we all? Yeah, so where were you?
I'm just going through some of these transfer rumours that I'm hearing. Apparently we've been interested in a guy called Jan Nicholas Best, 25, 10 million.
Yann?
Jan, as in Jan, not Yan.
All right, okay. But what's his position?
He's a winger.
Oh, bank the stars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's got, in the Bundesliga last season, he got 8 goals and 14 assists. And he was on the verge of an international cap, got injured. But he's only 25 and he could be available for as little as 5 to 7 million euros, but top whack 10 million.
Okay. Just out of curiosity, though, is there any figures been bandied around as a ballpark that we need to have in so that we won't, in any rolling period as it stands, fall foul of further financial fair play? You know what I mean?
Is there any what we have to sell? You mean?
Yeah.
No, I mean the thing is, people are just assuming that we are in danger of falling foul of the PSR again. But
are we not?
Well, I don't see how we could. I think it's we're the 3rd lowest spenders over 5 years in net spenders in the league. So I don't see how we could be, unless it's going to be obviously stadium costs, but then that's money's being loaned sort of by 777, hasn't it? You know what I mean? And we're obviously not allowed to write the debt off to Everton should have realistically wrote that debt off to a separate company from the club.
Yeah, aren't we going to need? Yeah, I mean that's kind of short-sighted. That's what I was going to say. Aren't we going to need to pay that back?
Yeah, it goes down as debt, obviously. But then if a new owner comes in and writes that debt off, then but I mean that's not going to happen before the 30th of June or whatever it's meant to be.
No, I know, but is the hope that it's done? Is the hope that it's done at arm's length, like the owner, nothing to do with the club, pays off the debt?
I'm not sure you're allowed to do that.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, well, you're not allowed to do that. How many clubs do, and or are currently under investigation for doing?
Yeah. So this Jan Nicholas Best available quite cheap. Like I say, he's only 25 as a winger. Another winger that's being mentioned is a guy called Yankuba Minte.
Oh.
He's at Newcastle. He was on loan to Feyenoord last season where he scored 11 goals and got 6 assists.
That's Minteh, isn't it?
That's it.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's another winger. So
you have to. It does beg the question though. If he's been at Newcastle and he's not made it there, and they've bought Anthony Gordon, how good is he?
Well, yeah, I mean, you sent him out on loan, and he's been pulling up trees at Feyenoord. So obviously he knows the new Liverpool manager very well as well, probably, as imagined, doesn't he?
He's like a cross between Yann and Yakubu.
Yeah, Yankuba. But yeah, so Everton are interested in him. Another player that Everton are interested in is Weston McKennie, but I think he might be out of our price range because they're talking 20 million euros for him.
Yeah, I just had a look at that Minteh. He scored 10 goals at Feyenoord.
Well, what I read was 11. So, he got 6 assists. It's gone again.
Yeah, can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can still hear you, mate.
Yeah, unlucky.
I'll
keep.
So Peter Duggan, yeah, Wilfred Ndidi's been linked for a while now, Peter. So but is his age against him? What is he? Is he 30 or something? I'm not sure how old he is.
Do we really want to be taking more players than giving them a payday the last few years? You know what I mean? We've done too much of that lately.
I know. I mean, realistically now to make our business model work, we have to start buying young upcoming players, and unfortunately have to sell them at a high profit. You know, obviously Branthwaite and Onan and stuff like that. They're obviously part of the Thelwell business model as such, but that's unfortunately the way it is now because the owners have got us so far in the shit with going out and spending money like it was going out of fashion. We're now in the position where we've got to buy players for 1-2 million and try and sell them on for 50, 60, 70, 80 million. Do you know what I mean? Great, but when you have to sell your best players and then try and find others, it's not exactly brilliant, is it? So yeah, indeed, he's only 27. So yeah, I thought he was older than that. He seems to have been around for like donkey's years, don't he? So yeah, it could be a good acquisition. Get rid of Onana and get Ndidi in for 27 on a free. Yeah,
But
definitely worth a punt.
I mean, I do agree that we need to start doing that, developing players. Like we always want them to stay longer, like Fellaini.
Yeah.
And we had a good run with Lukaku, but to think that we weren't going to keep him, were we?
No. I mean, this is the thing that, like, obviously, like Onana as well. We was never going to keep him either because they just see they see Everton as a stepping stone. Now he could have went to West Ham, Onana, you know what I mean? But they see Everton as a stepping stone, and it's a sad state of affairs. But unless you're a Man City or a Liverpool or an Arsenal or a Chelsea or a Tottenham, players don't see it as a long-term investment for them. They want to sort of like get themselves noticed and then move on to bigger and better things.
Well, there's
And
no
we have to
loyalty
sort of
these days.
no, we have to take that on the chin. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
As Evertonians.
Yeah, I'm not complaining about it. But there is no loyalty.
No, the thing is, Jan, and the viewers out there, if push comes to shove, right, and we have to sell players, right, would you rather sell Onana, Pickford, and anybody else that's available, DCL, anybody else that's available to keep Jared Branthwaite? Or do we look to the likes of this Esteve and see him as a cheap replacement for Branthwaite?
Well, my heart says keep Branthwaite and Pickford seems settled, and it's if we can show signs of stability and pushing forward, and getting some wingers in and having revitalizing the squad in some way, then I'd say. And my heart says I want to keep Onana. I don't mind if DCL goes because he's been so frustrating. If we could get a young striker in and some wingers, it would just, I don't know what profitability there is there, but I don't, I guess my head and logic and reason says that it's down to what money's offered. Because if it's going to be a piss take offer of 50 million, then you may as well tell them to fuck off. But sorry for mid language, but yeah.
No, it's right. I mean, like I say, when you sort of weigh up the four most expensive defenders are all playing in the Premier League, right? Harry Maguire, 80 million. Gvardiol, 70.
Sorry. Can you give us a minute before you're going to tell me such a practical joke about,
But you got Gvardiol, 77 million.
Yeah.
Van Dijk, 75 million. Fofana, 70 million, right? Now, I would put Branthwaite in a bracket of as good as all of them, and possibly better than at least two of them.
Yeah, but okay.
I'd say he was better than Harry Maguire and Fofana.
I know. But I don't want to. I know you're right, but I don't want to. I don't want to say this to rain on your parade anyway, Wes. But the money that's been thrown around for players in the last few years. Let me just throw this one at you, right? Branthwaite, his future, his potential, what he's shown so consistently. It's not like, oh, he's going to become a good player. He's already a great player. He's been called up to England, right?
But he's only going to get better.
No. I'm just sorry. I've just got to say this. Mark Cucurella, 62 million.
I know. I know. But I think to be fair, I think 50 odd million of that was probably on his hair.
Oi, what's wrong with long hair?
There's nothing wrong with it. But I mean the price that's being quoted, Roy's just saying there, realistic price for DCL. Now the price that has been bandied about that he's going to Newcastle on the 1st of June
25
has been 25 million.
Yeah.
Now for me, that that's a good markup for what we paid for him, which was what, 1.5 million or something.
Yeah, 1.4 from Sheffield or something like that, or 1. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's good profit, but then we've got to obviously try and find a replacement for him, because we can't go into the season with Beto and Chimiti as our strikers. You know what I mean? Because we're then going to not score goals. I mean, realistically, we'd love a playmaker in midfield. You know what I mean? But I think that's not going to happen playing with Dyche anyway. I don't think he knows how to play that way with a playmaker in midfield.
No, well, Mark's just made the very good point here. We need some real pace, right? Because I don't know whether that's to do with Dyche's tactics or the players, or the opposition and the mentality and everything. But it has seemed that we've just not had that urgency that comes from playing fast-paced football. Okay, we have the counter at times, and there's been some real moments. Dwight McNeil has been, he's just gone on runs where you think, holy crap, is this a guy that played for Burnley, a couple of years ago? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and he clearly feels more comfortable. I mean, I think the season before he came to Everton, I think he got 1 goal all season. So he clearly, he's found his sort of the club for him, suppose. You know what I mean? In Everton, I mean, so some long period of the season he wasn't brilliant, but then the lad never stopped running the socks off. Really, never stopped running the socks off all game, and you can't fault his commitments. You know what I mean? So Wormy's saying there 75 to 100 million for Branthwaite. But like I said, the transfer market has changed as such now. Clubs are not looking to pay daft money anymore, are they, really, Yann? You know what I mean? Unless you're Chelsea.
Well, yeah, and then you buy the player a hotel in their name or something.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd like to think, maybe it's me, and I'm going a bit waffly here, but you'd like to think that we would have finished much higher in the table if we wouldn't have had the points deduction. If there's no more points deductions going, you have to start to think, are we going to adapt our style of football in any way to be more attacking or incisive or more demanding, to take more from the game, to claim more rather than to sit back and at times it has been frustrating when we haven't had shots or we've dallied around. Do you know what I mean? Or we've allowed the opposition to sit back and counter and we've sat there. Now, hopefully we can acquire some players. I don't know, but what about Jack Harrison, seeing as Leeds didn't get promoted?
Yeah, well, there's ongoing talks for him to come back for another year's loan, I think. There's been rumours that they're trying to get a permanent deal done, but personally speaking, from my point of view, I'd rather get him back another year loan and see if he improves in the second season, because I mean, there's again, long periods of the season last season, he sort of flattered to deceive, didn't he?
He he did a whole lot of nothing. He looked busy. It's the sort of the oh shit, look busy, the boss is coming.
Yeah.
Not to have a go at the guy, because to be fair, maybe he's a little bit out of his depth, because at times we didn't have a settled selection of who was playing fullback behind him or either side. And
yeah, I mean, the thing is as well, the thing is, Jan, right, is that he came to Everton injured, right? So he sort of like, he never had any pre-season. He was, kind of thrown in at the deep end when as soon as he got back from injury, he was thrown into the game. So maybe, like, once again, maybe he's, if he get a loan deal sorted for him, they turn around and have a pre-season together, and maybe we might be able to sort of see the best out of him then. But yeah, it's definitely. I'd rather have a loan than a permanent deal at the minute, because that'd be just like throwing money away, and we haven't got a lot to throw away, have we?
I mean, do you think if DCL goes, do you think that we've got enough to rely on Beto, Chimiti? I mean, have you discussed the Mope?
Mope doesn't want to come back, does he? That's as simple as that. Mope doesn't want to come back.
I know, I get that, right? But he signed a contract and he throws his toys out. I'm not saying I want him to play, because I don't, especially after all that shit. But he signed a contract, and you don't just. I don't want us to bend over and just be like, yeah, okay, and contract dissolved by mutual consent or something. Like, no, get.
You're right. I mean, for as much as he might want to throw his toys out the pram and all this, that, and the other, he's still under contract and he's still an Everton player. So if he doesn't get his move to Brentford or anywhere else, personally, I think they'll be looking at other options rather than Brentford to offload him. Because if a player doesn't want to come and play for you, then you might as well not have him at the club anyway and try and get rid of him to anybody, any suitor, you know what I mean?
Not
try and get the best money for him.
Yeah, but to be honest, like, I know this might sound a little bit miserable or whatever word you want to put it, but fuck him off to somewhere else. Don't let him play to a competitor at Brentford. Sell him somewhere else.
No, I completely agree. I think if he doesn't want to be there, then sell him to the highest bidder, whoever comes in. Send him back to France or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But what do you think?
I'm not being horrible, but he's the architect of his own downfall. So if he's said all these things and he's been shit when he was here and then goes and bangs in some goals for them, well, I'm sorry, we would have finished around them, either side of them with the points. So you can piss off to France. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But I'd like to see more of Dobbin as well next season. You know what I mean? If he's not going to play, then send him out on loan or something. Do you know what I mean? Because it's no good him sitting on the bench week in, week out, because he's not going to progress from there, is he?
Well, I mean, the awkward thing is we've reached a critical point. When you say that, I start to wonder. I don't know if you guys in the comments think about this. Like, is he good enough? Is he not good enough? Have we seen enough of him to make that judgment? Do the coaches, do Dyche and the other players, do they know if he's good enough? So therefore, are we going to see him loaned out, or should we just sell him and then possibly have some money in the kitty? Because if he's good enough to go, to potentially be first team for a championship side, you can get 5 million for him.
Yeah, exactly. But Roy, I'm not sure whether Roy mentioned this before about the scouting network that Everton have with we don't seem to scout players from South America, Europe, or Asia.
Funes Mori was a bit of a fiasco.
Yeah, I mean that was years ago. Funes Mori was all right.
Oh, don't! He was a donkey.
He wins. Come on, he put one on Gerrard in the derby. Come on, you've got to give him kudos points for that. You know what I mean?
Fair.
But maybe I don't know. Maybe we don't have a scouting network over that. that side of the world and in South America and Asia. But I mean, I think Roy before sort of pointed out the Brighton sort of business model, and they're one of the few teams where they do buy like players on the cheap and sell them for big money, but then that only lasts for so long before that gravy train runs out, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, do you think there's any? Do you think that I was just thinking that as you were saying it? Do you think the scope to get, I don't know, between 5 or 8 young players where you're only playing a handful? If we sell like Onana and DCL and we make a profit, and then you go out and you buy these young players where you pay sort of 5 million tops for them, or maybe 1 or 2 that you've paid 10 or 15. But from, as you say, that these are the leagues where they've got a lot of energy and there's a lot of the fight in them, and you can suddenly see an intensity to the game, and it seems a bit like a cheap tactic. But you play a year of that, and you get in, you sell a couple of them, you get in another play. You know what I mean? Can you see where I'm going with it?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I mean, there was at one point where we had like a conveyor belt of young kids, in the academy and stuff that were all sorts of like on the verge of breaking into the first team, and the likes of Sims, who's the other guy that we sold to Leicester, Tom Cannon.
Yeah.
These kids, and then obviously we was forced to sell them, and I suppose when you look at the business that Sims done for Coventry and during the season, we kind of sold him. They got him on the cheap, didn't they? I think we watched 7 million or something.
Oh, we've been Nathan Broadhead. Yeah, we've had a lot of young players like that we've sold, and it's just, it makes me sit here and wonder that such fecklessness to repeatedly sell so many players so young. It's so frustrating that they go, they're not good enough. Oh, they go out. Right, okay. They're not, some of them haven't been great. John Joe Kenny, he's a divisive one. Some say, he had a good run, and some say he didn't. And, especially after he left. But there are so many of them.
Yeah. And Nathan Broadhead, he's going to be in the Premier League next season with Ipswich, isn't he?
Yeah. That's exactly what I'm saying. And the fact that it's okay. So just to name a few, like you said, Nathan Broadhead, Anthony Robinson, he was with us, wasn't he?
Yeah, Anthony Robinson, yeah. And he's being linked to some big clubs now, like.
Yeah, and okay, so Ross Barkley, but all these players that have been so some of them, we've all seemed to have shipped them out, and we haven't given them a chance. And the ones that we have, that were happy to be squad players, we've ended up selling them, and now we've like Tom Davies. Okay, he didn't light the world up, but he wasn't awful, but he seemed to be happy being a squad player. And then I don't know. It's just to have so many players that seem to be on the fringes at Everton, then they go and seem to become established at other clubs, makes me wonder what is going wrong at Everton that they do that.
Yeah, but I mean, every club does it. Every club will let players go, and then 1 or 2 of them will turn out to be superstars. Jan, it happens at every club. Do you know what I mean? You look at the guy Cole Palmer, who was at City, kind of broke through, but didn't break through enough. Wanted to move on, and then they sold him. But they sold him for decent money, and basically that lad on his own carried Chelsea to Europe. Do you know what I mean? But like I say, every team lets players go, and they go on to be superstars. But Everton seem to do it more than any other club, don't they?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So either our scouting isn't good enough that we're getting almost players, or we're not developing in the right way, that suddenly they find a rich vein of form, but having already gone past a lot of their developmental age, that they're maybe 21, 22, 23, whatever, by the time they've gone elsewhere, you know, they're not going to reach the potential because what is our training or tactics or the last few years has that let them down? But how long are we talking? It's been since Moyes, man. It's been, you know, over 10 years, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, it is.
It's like someone dried up the tap or turned it off, and slowly everything's just, yeah.
Yeah, Mark says there, the way we scout is the way that just does not work in the modern game. It's all about analytics these days. We still scout the old way. But yeah, hang on.
Oh, I don't know. Are you still there, Wes?
Yeah, I'm still here,
If we
mate.
both have oh, excellent. I was going to say if we both have technical issues, we're a bit up the creek.
No, it's all right. Yeah, he says still scout the old way. Brighton is an example of how scouting should be done. Now, I don't disagree with you, Mark, right? But Brighton are heading the way Southampton did, buying in players on the cheap and then selling them to the top clubs for big money, and then eventually the conveyor belt of them players will dry up, and then they'll start to struggle. But it's working for them at the moment. I'll give you that. But I don't think it's an ethos that'll last forever.
I mean, well, what will be your solution in the short term?
Well, for Everton,
yeah.
I know people are saying on here that if we lose Branthwaite and we lose Pickford, you know, chances are we'll be relegated next season. I'm going to be a bit controversial here and say I don't think if we lose Pickford we'll be relegated. I can't say that about Branthwaite because I think João Virginia, when he came in as a replacement for Pickford, done okay, done really well. So, you know, I think we've got a capable replacement for Pickford. But Pickford has you know, saved us on a lot of occasions. But that's not to say that João Virginia wouldn't as a number one. You know what I mean? Yeah. He got let go because of his attitude, weren't it, Yann?
Yeah, he was moody and stroppy. But this is okay. But to go back, that was around a similar time as well. We've always had these players that have been like Andy van der Meijden.
Shandy van der Meijden.
Oh God, I mean, and then there was another one around the same time. He got done for. You know, it's so frustrating. Like, I don't know what's going on. There's been a complete decline in discipline, and yeah.
But Moyes never fell for any of that, did he? Moyes never fell for any of that ill discipline and all that.
No.
Do
you know, I was reading about. Sorry, I was reading. I don't know if it's a bit too boring, mate. I was reading about David Moyes recently, and you know, like he obviously always seems very dour, but he's got a dry sense of humour, and you know. So I just thought there's depths there. You know, you didn't see very much, but he's. I mean, I'm not religious, but apparently he's quite religious. But also a really lovely thing was during COVID, he worked remotely, took a 30% pay cut, and ended up like doing charitable stuff, like donating food and handing it out to the elderly in where he lives in his little village. I was like, yeah, so no wonder stuff like that was you know, starting at the top, from the top down, and having that strong mentality, because you can see now why it was my way or the highway, and it wasn't just, it was principled, man.
Yeah. But Pete Macher there, just picking up on the comments I made. Hang on. Just the dog was about to bark his head off because my son's just entered the building. Yeah, so Pete Macher just bringing up the Brighton thing there, that they won't be in danger with PSR, but that's not the point I was making. What the point I was making is you're picking out Mitoma, Adringa, Ferguson, sell on for huge profit, yeah, and that's what Southampton did for long periods of their time. But eventually, the train of players that they could sell on for big money run out, and then they ended up with a load of dross, which I hope it doesn't happen with Brighton. Don't get me wrong. And like you say, the PSR doesn't really come into it, but when they're selling on the best players and replacing them with average players, then that's when a club will, a team will end up struggling.
Okay, how much of a deviation, how tangents and random general shite do you and Robbie normally talk on a Wednesday night?
We talk any old shite those, mate.
Right, because I've got a question. If we're talking about the potential for clubs to, and I know people might say it's wishful thinking, but do you have any idea, or would you indulge me having a quick look online of what Newcastle are going to have to do to be compliant based on their spending and what their stance is and their backing and finance and all that? Because I know that their owners are, I'm curious because obviously they've got the increased income from Europe, but what if they don't particularly win much or progress through the rounds, and have that income?
They're not in Europe this year, are they?
No, that's what I'm saying. So how many years do they have to? That's if they don't.
It's rolling, and it's a rolling 3 year sort of cycle, isn't it? So, I mean, if you read the rumours that they have to sell to sort of buy. So, I mean, they were talking stupid money for that Alexander Isaac. They want 200 million, and
What?
yeah, he had a decent season and all that, but he's not 200 million pound player. Yeah.
No. Oh, you're right, mate.
Yeah, it's just I keep getting reserve requests on Uber, so I'm just seeing. No, David B. Rob's not in hospital, mate. He's got some work on, and he's down in London at the moment. So, but he'll be back soon, I'm sure.
There we go. The Blues has said he'd love us to say we want 200 million for Branthwaite, and I agree. It would be lovely to say, you know what? Don't take the piss. Because he's 21 or he'll be 22 or something. And he's got 10 years at least, and he's already at this standard.
Who is it?
I want at least like 120.
Right. So, who was it there? Rod Ross. So Newcastle sell enough shares to fund a small country they wear them to weddings. Do you know what? It really doesn't matter how many shirts you sell, because the clubs only make a fraction of profit on shirt sales. They don't make a massive amount on shirt sales. Same on season ticket sales and clubs are now going down the route of only selling a small fraction of the capacity of a football ground to season ticket holders because it makes more money selling tickets.
Okay, maybe we could look out there. I mean, you'd have to look at tickets and hospitality and everything. But having a quick dig around, Newcastle's accounts were released for when they lasted a full year. They released it for up to the 30th of June 2023. So obviously we're still in this year. So it was last year's. They'd had a loss of 73.4 million.
How much?
They posting a loss of 73.4 million.
Is that for this season?
That is for the financial year ending the 30th of June 2023.
Right. So obviously they haven't released the books for this season yet until mid-June, innit? Mid-June, so 23, 24.
It's interesting, isn't it, Wez?
It certainly is. But yeah, I mean, Peter Duggan's asking there, we have Callum Wilson.
He's a decent player. I wouldn't say no to him.
Scores goals. Certainly scores goals.
I mean, yes, if we're talking about that, then snap him up, kidnap him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get it back.
Sorry, I
Get
just
it.
noticed this. Emma says sell Onana, who's already checked out. I don't know if I entirely agree with that. Keep Branthwaite at all costs. I think he'd give us another season whether his agent or the club would allow it. It's different. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, Branthwaite stock's only ever it's going to go up and up and up. Do you know what I mean? Personally, as long as he's playing alongside Tarkovsky, if Michael Keane gets put in there with him, then forget about it. Do you know what I mean? With Tarkovsky, he found the perfect foil. You know what I mean?
I mean, it's very difficult to. Sorry, never mind. I'm just going to say the same fucking thing over and over again, and it's annoying, isn't it?
It is, but yeah, we going on to the takeover, Jan. It's looking like, well, it's definitely 777 are dead in the water, aren't they? Do you know what I mean? So it's looking more likely that it's going to be one of the other interested parties. Now, this John Texter, obviously, he's come out and said some nice things about Everton, and you know he wants more control of a Premier League football team than what he's got at Crystal Palace. Even though I think he's the majority shareholder, he still doesn't have the like over 50%. He's only 45%, but he's got the biggest share, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. So I understand. He's the largest single majority.
Yeah.
If that's so, he could also potentially do that similar situation at Everton to ease the debts. Or if he's in a situation to fully do that, that would be advantageous. That's what you want. Somebody who's going to pay the value, which is, I don't know, but Mashiri might want to hold on to retain a certain percentage of shares because they'll be inflated in value when the new stadium's up and operational and got income coming in,
Yeah. Well, Simon Jordan, Rod Ross says yesterday we're getting done again for PSR after saying some very nice things about us. Now, what he did say was that Everton are a better proposition for John Texter than Crystal Palace are. Obviously with the ground and the stuff and whatnot, and we're a well-established club in the Premier League, and we've been in the top flight longer than any other club, and this, that, and the other. And like I say, John Texter said some nice things. He wouldn't want to buy Everton. It's not in London, and got the new stadium, and it's full of history and all this palaver. But he also wears his heart on his sleeve as well. If you watch the video of him basically slagging the referee off and calling him corrupt and all this, that, and the other, Evertonians would love him, won't he?
Yeah, I mean, I think it just depends on. I don't care about any of that off-field stuff because people are entitled to say stuff. What would irk me is if the Premier League decide that it's disrepute and penalising the club for the owner's comments. It's not as if it's actually anything sporting and football related, but you wouldn't surprise. But what's this Texter's value?
As I read somewhere along the line of it's either 4.3 or 3.4 billion, something like that. I hope it's 4.3, but yeah, I mean, obviously he's going to get some money for his shares at Palace as well. I mean, it's probably not going to be a great deal of amount, like
3.3, 3.4.
3.4 billion. So yeah, so he's going to get.
Mark seems to think he's just making noise to leverage or to use that as a bargaining chip.
I'm not sure. I mean, I don't know about that. I really don't. I don't think that there's anybody there that's willing to sell them. their shares so that he becomes the majority shareholder. I'm not sure about that. I mean, you wouldn't come out and sort of like put your cards on the table about all that, especially with this exclusivity that 777 have got at the minute, would you? You know what I mean? So I'm not
it's
sure.
so stupid. I mean, and obviously then there's the chain, as you say. If Textor does want to, he's reliant on people stepping up to buy him out.
Yeah.
To have liquidity because obviously you can't have a conflict of interest by having ownership or stake in both Palace and Everton.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is as well is whoever comes in and buys it is going to have to restructure the debt, aren't they? That's the thing. They're not going to come in and go wipe that debt off. There you go, because the debt now is about 800 million or something in it. So nobody's going to come in, pay whatever Mashiri wants for the club, 550 million, and then wipe off 800 million pounds worth of debt, are they? You know what I mean?
Well, it depends. If somebody's thinking long term, and they have that kind of ability, okay, a lot of the debt can be consolidated, leveraged against various things like the future income streams of the stadium, not associated with the football, so that you can do that in a different way. It's not at arm's length, but it's a way as a business that you're taking on the concerns and the debt, etc. But then you have to think that in doing so, does somebody have that liquidity and ability to do that, and therefore the willingness to have the patience to go, here is Everton Football Club, they are struggling on a few fronts. Am I willing to put this into? Because long term, absolutely, there's huge potential. As what's his face, Jordan said, Peter Jordan, what's his
Simon Jordan.
Yeah. Simon Jordan, yes. Sorry.
I mean, he's got vast knowledge of running sports teams, and that's ideally that's what we want, isn't it? We want people in the club that know how to run, a sports club and run it properly, not like just run, come in like a bloody bull in the china shop throwing money around willy-nilly.
I mean, I had this silly concept as a teenager, like 20 years ago, Wes, and it was daft, right? Completely out there. You know the expression, the 12th man?
Yeah.
And it's just because Rod Ross has put this up here, and I don't know whether that's text or a proposal or whether it's a reference to something that you guys have read and I haven't, right? But I always had this thought that, the expression, the 12th man and the fans, and okay. But if the fans could retain like 3% of the vote, regardless of what the actual share percentage is, when a decision is made, so that way it could be a casting vote in if you do have people that own the majority, like say Mashiri and Textor, and they owned like 45% each, or 51 and 49. It didn't matter that because the fans would still own 8.3%, so that they'd have, I don't know, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, what we didn't want as Evertonians was 777 coming in and selling off the stadium and renting it back. And I'm hoping that anybody that comes in doesn't have any sort of businessman wouldn't have that foolish idea in the head, because if you look at something long term, like the revenue that stadium can bring in, you look at what's happening now in the close season.
Yeah.
Taylor bloody Swift's playing over the park there. Yeah. And apparently her coming to the UK is going to bring £1 billion to the UK's economy alone. Do you know what I mean? Right. So having 3 nights over the park playing there, imagine how much money that's bringing in. A, to that club, and B, to the city. Do you know what I mean?
The point in that, it's interesting you bring that up, Wes, right? Because scenario A is where the club owns the ground, and it's all together, and or it's owned by a sort of the business that's it's together, and the accounts and any income. And the second one is where it's owned by like the owner's business and it's rented to the club, etc. Now, if you want the club and the stadium are, you know, potentials to earn money. They're potential revenue streams. Now, if you have the club owning the stadium, then what can happen is the owner who wants to put on non-football events at the stadium pays the football club for the use of the stadium, which is an income source for the football club based on its I don't know how it works at present with financial fair play, but if there's that potential, but if it works the other way, what you're doing is you're precluding any potential revenue that's associated with the football clubs using the stadium. There's always going to be like this VAT and the offsetting and all that. Whereas what you can do when the club has a potential revenue income from that is that it can then allow the club to, as it stands at the moment, to spend more money in football matters, which is one of the biggest ways that the whole operation can make more money. So if you're maximizing its money-making potential, then it's like that. Sorry. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, you look at West Ham, right? West Ham rent their ground, right? And as far as I'm aware, everything that ground's used for, none of that revenue goes to the club. All the cases and all that and what have you, they're all paid for by the people who own the stadium, right? So any revenue that they get off from that, I think is goes to the people who own the stadium. Any events that are held there, the revenue goes to the people who own the stadium. So I don't know where West Ham actually generate any money from. You know, their owners are like mega rich billionaires.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Just it's definitely not a thing that hopefully any new owner should be looking at is renting that stadium and selling it off. You know what I mean? And on that note, mate, I think we should call it a day. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm sorry about the tech issues. I'll get it resolved.
That's all right, mate. I think we've covered most things. I think everybody's had a little go. But yeah, until the next one, mate, and all the Blues, up the fucking toffees.
Up the fucking toffees.